Chapter 1, Meeting at the Conference. The air at the prestigious international conference, held in one of the city's majestic conference centers, was filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the soft rustle of silk ties and the flickering of presentation screens. The minimalist hall, with high ceilings and panoramic windows, opened up to a view of the cityscape, where skyscrapers, like guardians of modernity, watched over the proceedings. In this atmosphere of anticipation of change, where everyone present felt the pulse of global ideas, many opinion leaders, scientists and businessmen gathered to discuss the future of the economy, technology and management. Among the speakers on stage today was Elon Musk, a man whose ideas have already changed the face of entire industries. His reputation as an innovator, entrepreneur, and visionary was legendary, and every time he attended an event like this, hundreds of eyes would turn to him, full of admiration and anticipation of something truly revolutionary. Musk walked onto the stage with undeniable confidence, a spark of creative energy in his eyes, and his speech was a promise of a new world ere the boundaries between fantasy and reality were erased. He spoke of bold projects, plans to conquer space, revolutionary approaches to energy and transportation, and everyone in the room listened as if spellbound, trying to catch every thought, every word, in which a grain of the future was hidden. At the same moment when the applause gradually died down, a young economics student stood out in the line of listeners. His delicate features, sincere curiosity in his eyes, and confidence that came from the awareness of deep theoretical knowledge attracted the attention of even experienced conference participants. This student, known among the faculty as one of the brightest minds of his generation, sat in the front row, attentively following Musk's every word, recording in his notebook and in his memory not only the ideas but also the smallest nuances of the argument. He was not an ordinary listener, his gaze was critical, and his mind was inquisitive, ready to uncover controversial points even in the most inspiring speeches. When the keynote ended, there was a brief pause filled with the rustle of discussions between the participants, with arguments and speculations spreading around the room like invisible sparks. At this point, the student, having gathered all his courage and inner energy, stood up and addressed the microphone. His voice, clear and confident, immediately attracted the attention of the entire audience. He began with a respectful introduction, thanking the organizers for the opportunity to hear such an outstanding speaker, and then moved on to his question, which was both provocative and profound. He asked about controversial issues in Musk's business management, concerning the methods of resource allocation and strategic decisions, which, in his opinion, could call into question the effectiveness of some innovative projects. The student's question sounded not like an aggressive accusation, but like an invitation to dialogue, capable of revealing new facets of already known facts. His words were verified, argued, and filled with fresh analytical power that could compete with any academic dissertation. The hall froze for a moment. Some listeners expected a lively debate, others, a quiet answer, but everyone understood that right now the clash of ideas would become the starting point for further changes. Views the crowd turned to the stage, where Elon Musk seemed to sense the energy of the challenge, and his face, previously calm and confident, momentarily reflected genuine curiosity at the question coming from such a bright representative of the younger generation. The moment of meeting of two worlds, the world of practical experience and the world of theoretical rigor, enveloped the hall in a special aura. Here, among the shining rays of light and the quiet rustle of thoughts, the first act of this intellectual performance unfolded, where each participant of the conference became a witness to the birth of a dialogue capable of changing the usual management schemes and the view of the future of the economy. At that moment, the conference hall ceased to be just a place for speeches, but turned into an arena for a real intellectual confrontation, where every remark, every movement became a symbol of the desire for truth and progress. The audience, immersed in an atmosphere of anticipation, waited with bated breath for the answer of the businessman, capable not only of inspiring, but also of explaining even the most complex aspects of modern management. And then, when the echo of the students' questions was still carried around the hall, Musk took a deep breath and prepared to answer. His voice, filled with the experience of many years of achievements, began to sound in unison with the rhythm of the hall, foreshadowing that today a new look at the usual economic paradigms would open. This moment of the meeting at the conference became not just the intersection of the paths of two personalities, but the beginning of a great dialogue between generations, between innovations and traditions, between what was and what is yet to be created. Chapter 2: Clash of Ideas. As the applause that accompanied Elon Musk's speech began to die down, the conference hall suddenly filled with a living tension, as if reality itself was holding its breath in anticipation of something momentous. At that moment, when the spotlight softly touched the faces of those present, a young economics student, whose eyes sparkled with a spark of living intelligence, stood up and, gathering all his courage, directed questions to the microphone that could question the very essence of the business decisions presented. His voice, smooth and clear, penetrated the very depths of the hall, like the call of an ancient prophet, heralding the beginning of a clash of worlds, the world of academic rigor and the world of practical entrepreneurship. The student began his speech by expressing gratitude for the opportunity to hear such a legendary speaker, but then, getting to the point, he leveled a series of criticisms. He argued that some of Musk's decisions seemed too risky, and that his resource management methods were not transparent enough to ensure long-term sustainability. Every word he spoke was infused with arguments based on theoretical models and empirical data gathered over many years of research. His questions sounded like a challenge to established dogma, as if he were trying to show that behind the glitter of innovation there is sometimes unjustified haste. His speech conveyed a genuine belief in the power of analysis, evidence, and logical order, which he believed should be the basis for management even in the most dynamic conditions of the modern economy. The audience reacted to this challenge with a real storm of emotions. Some listeners, accustomed to traditional approaches, nodded in approval of the student's arguments, while as the pioneers, hands clasped boldly, awaited the answer from Musk himself. And so, as the final chords of the question echoed once more around the room, Elon Musk, with his unfailing composure and insight, stepped forward to engage in debate. His face, lit by the soft spotlights, reflected not only confidence but also deep respect for the young interlocutor whose words were full of analytical power. Musk began his answer with an acknowledgement: "I appreciate criticism that is not meant to condemn, but to improve the system." His speech was filled with metaphors. He talked about how innovative projects, like experimental rockets, require risk, but it is through testing that breakthroughs are born. He cited examples from his own career where risky decisions turned into huge successes, but did not deny that without careful analysis and a willingness to adjust course, even the boldest ideas can turn into unexpected difficulties. Comparing traditional methods with modern algorithms, he argued that flexibility and adaptability are key to survival in a rapidly changing world. His answer was clear-cut, backed by concrete data and real-life cases. He talked about how his companies use cutting-edge technologies to monitor investment performance, how artificial intelligence helps predict market trends, and how blockchain ensures transparency of financial flows. Each of Musk's statements was accompanied by examples of successful projects where risk and innovation were transformed into stable growth and prosperity. He skillfully linked theory with practice, explaining that failures are only temporary stages that allow you to find the optimal solution and improve management efficiency. The economy is a living matter, he said, and like any living system, it requires constant adaptation, learning, and, at times, bold steps into the unknown. The debate between the student and Musk unfolded over several gripping minutes, with each remark becoming a kind of intellectual dance. The student did not give up. He continued to clarify, demanding examples that could be tested in practice and expressing doubts about the applicability of some innovative approaches to public administration. His voice did not fade, but, on the contrary, gained strength, reflecting the desire to search for truth and an ideal model where risk and calculation go hand in hand. Each of his questions was logically constructed, each objection was supported by references to academic research and the experience of leading economists, which made his speech not just emotional, but reasoned and convincing. Musk, for his part, responded with candor and tact, demonstrating a deep understanding of the complexities of modern business. He noted that mistakes are inevitable and should be viewed as opportunities for growth rather than failures to be condemned. His tone alternated between confident and gentle as he spoke of the importance of learning from mistakes, course-correcting, and moving on. His arguments were built on the principle of the evolution of ideas, that every new solution, like every new technology, must go through a process of testing and optimization. Yes, there is risk, he said, but without risk there is no innovation, and without innovation we cannot move forward. His words not only consoled those who doubted them, but also commanded respect even from his opponent, forcing the latter to think about what he had heard. The room, divided between the critical thinkers and the bold thinkers, gradually began to realize that the clash of views was not a battle for victory, but a dialogue leading to a synthesis of new concepts. In this atmosphere of intense debate, mutual respect reigned. Both sides were striving for the truth, understanding that truth is multifaceted and can only be achieved through a constructive exchange of ideas. The student, sensing the strength of Musk's arguments, began to ask increasingly clarifying questions, seeking to find common ground between the academic rigor and the practical experience that the entrepreneur offered. His gaze, initially full of bold confidence, gradually softened, giving way to a deep interest and desire to understand how risky innovations can be integrated into established systems. The climax came when, after another question, the student, with a slight emotion in his voice, admitted that his criticism was never an attempt to destroy, but only a desire to improve approaches to management. His words sounded like a revelation, breaking the tension in the room and creating an opportunity for real dialogue. Musk, noticing this change, warmly noted that it is precisely such questions that help businesses grow and develop, encouraging them to reconsider their own decisions and strive for excellence. He thanked the student for the constructive criticism and assured that innovation is always born from the clash of different views and ideas. So that evening, the hall became the arena not of a battle, but of a meeting of minds, where ideas seemed to float in the air, intertwining into a single tapestry of new understanding. The debate between the student and Musk turned into a living process of finding a balance between risk and calculation, between theory and practice. This clash of ideas became a starting point for further reflection on how modern technologies can be integrated into traditional economic models, how the boldness of innovation can be combined with the need for stability and transparency in management. The audience, inspired by what they heard, asked questions and began to see in each controversial remark not only a contradiction, but also an opportunity for growth, for finding new paths that will allow the creation of a harmonious system capable of responding to the challenges of the times. This clash of views, filled with passion and analytical rigor, became a symbol of the transition from outdated dogmas to new thinking, where criticism and constructive dialogue are the basis for progress. There were no winners or losers that evening, there was only an exchange of experience and knowledge that enriched everyone present. This was the essence of the clash of ideas. It did not destroy, but united, allowing each participant to look at known problems from a new angle, to see in mistakes a source of new opportunities and to be convinced that only through open dialogue can one build a future in which innovation and tradition will coexist in harmonious balance. Chapter 3: The Art of Money Management. In an in-depth discussion of economic strategy that was the centerpiece of the conference, Elon Musk began his talk about the intricacies of capital management like a seasoned conductor guiding each instrument into a single symphony. He argued that the modern economy is not a set of dry numbers or static formulas, but a living organism that requires constant self-improvement, adaptation, and dynamic management. For him, money was not just a currency, but a force capable of to realize dreams, drive innovation, and transform society. Musk addressed the audience with a confidence that could inspire even the most skeptical listeners, and his speech was laced with images that vividly illustrated that every investment, every unit of capital, must be carefully fed with data, technology, and bold decisions. Think of capital as a seed, he began. If you plant it in the fertile soil of knowledge, innovation, and modern technology, it will grow into a mighty tree that produces the shade of stability and the fruits of prosperity. With that metaphor, he segued smoothly into a discussion of how traditional methods of financial management are long outdated. Musk reminded the audience that in the age of digitalization and information technology, static models of capital allocation are unable to adequately respond to the challenges of the modern world. He emphasized the need to move to systems in which decisions are made based on algorithms, artificial intelligence, and big data analysis, allowing us not just to react to changes, but to predict them and adjust strategy in advance. In his speech, he gave examples from the practice of his companies, where the implementation of automated systems allowed to significantly reduce operating costs and increase the efficiency of investments. He talked about how the integration of blockchain technologies made financial flows transparent and resistant to external influences, and machine learning algorithms helped to determine the optimal moments for investing and reinvesting funds. In his opinion, each monetary unit should work like a small soldier receiving clear commands, and only in a single mechanism, where each element is interconnected, can harmony and stable growth be achieved. Musk continued, citing specific cases where seemingly risky decisions turned out to be key to achieving a breakthrough result. He told how one of his projects related to the development of electric cars initially faced enormous skepticism from investors and critics, but thanks to flexible capital management and prompt adjustment of strategy, the project reached a fundamentally new level, changing the entire industry. His words sounded so convincing that many in the room felt how their own ideas about finance were beginning to change. Outdated dogmas were giving way to ideas where innovation and risk are an integral part of successful management. At the same time, Musk did not downplay the importance of discipline and a systems approach. He emphasized that innovation alone is no guarantee of success unless it is managed with scientific precision. Every mistake, he said, is not a failure, but a lesson that helps us adjust the system so that the result will be even better next time. He spoke about the importance of constant analysis, the need to collect data in real time, and the fact that any strategy must be adaptive and capable of self-renewal. In this context, he compared modern financial management to the work of a high-precision mechanism, where every detail, every gear plays its role, and even a small deviation can lead to a cascade of changes. The audience included both traditional financial institutions and young entrepreneurs, and for each of them, Musk's words were a revelation. His speech made it clear that in order to keep up with the times, it is necessary not only to invest in technology, but also to change mentalities, be open to new approaches, and not be afraid to experiment. He cited data on how public and private investment, reallocated in accordance with modern realities, can stimulate economic growth and create new jobs. The idea that innovation is not a fad, but a necessary condition for survival in the conditions of global competition, was clearly evident in his presentation. At the same time, Musk spoke from personal experience, sharing stories of how he had to adjust his decisions when faced with unexpected challenges, and how each experience became a catalyst for improving his management system. He talked about how even if an initial strategy didn't work, the key is to not stop there, but to analyze mistakes and move on, improving every aspect of the business. His words sounded like a call to courage, to be willing to take risks and try new methods that can lead to a real breakthrough. By masterfully combining theory with practical examples, Musk created an atmosphere of trust and enthusiasm in the room. His arguments were supported by statistics, charts, and reports that demonstrated the effectiveness of new approaches compared to traditional models. He explained that financial management systems must be transparent, flexible, and data-driven so that every dollar invested brings maximum return. This concept was especially attractive to young professionals eager to see real changes in familiar structures. Throughout his talk, Musk repeatedly addressed the audience, asking questions and engaging them in dialogue. He asked them to imagine a future in which every financial transaction was controlled by algorithms, where money was not just circulating but was actively invested in the development of technology, education, and infrastructure. His speech became more dynamic, and his metaphors more vivid, as if he were painting the future right before the astonished eyes of the audience. This liveliness and immediacy allowed everyone in the audience to feel that change was just around the corner, that they could be part of a global movement for innovation and progress. By the end of the speech, the room was filled with the feeling that only through constant development and adaptation can one achieve true effectiveness in financial management. Musk was able to show that the art of money management is not just a set of tools, but an entire philosophy based on the desire for excellence, the willingness to accept challenges and learn from mistakes. His words, imbued with confidence and a passion for innovation, left a deep mark on the hearts of the audience, forcing many to think about how they can contribute to the transformation of traditional financial systems. Thus, the art of money management, as envisioned by Elon Musk, has become a symbol of a new era where technology, analytics and human talent come together to creating a dynamic, adaptive and transparent economic system. This view of finance, based on the ideas of innovation and continuous development, has become not only a manifesto for business, but also a guiding star for the future of the economy, where every decision, every investment can lead to sustainable growth and prosperity for society. Chapter 4: The Climax of the Confrontation. The sky above the conference room was shrouded in deep darkness, and the dim spotlights cast long shadows on the participants' faces as the tension reached its peak. The atmosphere resembled the quiet anticipation before a storm, when every breath, every rustle becomes a harbinger of the decisive clash of two worlds, the traditional view of economics and the bold innovative ideas embodied in the words of Elon Musk. At this fateful moment, the room, filled with the sounds of quiet whispers, seemed to hold its breath to witness how arguments and emotions intertwine in a real intellectual duel. At one end of the stage, the finance minister stood with majestic confidence, drawing on centuries of proven theory and practice. His speech, measured and stern, was a reminder that stability and order are the cornerstones of any economy. Every word he spoke echoed the past, where figures, reports, and historical examples served as irrefutable proof of the effectiveness of traditional methods. He cited statistics, quoted classics of economic thought, and emphasized that risky innovations could lead to chaos if not managed with extreme caution. On the opposite side, Elon Musk spoke like the embodiment of the future. His figure, illuminated by a bright spotlight, contrasted with the conservative appearance of the minister. Musk was full of energy, and his voice sounded like a storm breaking through outdated dogmas. Not only was he ready to accept the challenge, but he also wanted to prove that the economic system must change, adapt and use the opportunities of the digital age. His arguments were bold and bright. He talked about projects where risk turned into a source of phenomenal success, about how algorithms, artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies can not just optimize costs, but revolutionize the management of public finances. At this crucial moment, the young student who had previously asked the pointed questions came back on stage to continue his challenge. His voice, initially cool and analytical, now took on the tone of an internal struggle, between a sincere desire for change and pride in the knowledge he had accumulated. He reminded the audience that criticism should not serve only to undermine authority, but should stimulate development and self-criticism. His words resonated with echoes of questions about transparency, responsibility, and the need to balance innovative experiments with conservative stability. Each of his statements was carefully argued with references to modern research and examples from global practice, which made the audience listen to him with genuine attention. The climax came when Musk, his voice measured but determined, answered the student's final question. He spoke of how innovation could not exist in a vacuum of fear of failure. Our job is not just to avoid mistakes, but to learn from them, to transform each failure into a lesson that brings us closer to true effectiveness, he said, and his words, like a powerful blow of a hammer on an anvil, resonated in every corner of the room. His arguments were supported by examples from his experience. He told how his projects, subjected to criticism, reached unprecedented heights thanks to courage and flexibility, how risky decisions turned into successes that changed the face of entire industries. Each of his examples was like a spark that ignited the fire of hope that change is possible if approached with intelligence and passion. At this moment of clash of ideas between two poles, conservative and innovative, the hall literally burst into emotion. Some listeners, previously skeptical of radical change, began to see in Musk's words not a threat, but a chance for renewal, an opportunity to look at the economy from a new angle. Others, committed to traditional methods, tried to hold on to their old views with tense faces, but even they could not help but notice that the entrepreneur's arguments sounded convincing and logical. The debate reached such intensity that every word, every intonation change became an important element of the overall canvas, a canvas on which a picture of the future was painted, where risk and calculation, innovation and stability must find a balance. Among those present, one could see the way eyes met, the way people exchanged not only thoughts but emotions, sharing moments of surprise and the realization that real breakthroughs are possible only when a willingness to change is intertwined with respect for experience. At this turning point, the student, conscious of the depth of the discussion, allowed himself to nod gently in recognition that his questions did indeed open up new perspectives. And Musk, responding with equal respect, showed that he was willing to listen to even the harshest criticisms, if they were aimed at improving the system. The room, which a few moments ago seemed like an arena of fierce confrontation, now turned into a place where ideas began to merge, forming an inseparable whole. Sharp arguments gave way to dialogue, tension was replaced by calm confidence, and every remark, uttered with a sense of responsibility, became a brick in the foundation of a new view of management. And it was at this moment that the confrontation, previously filled with passionate arguments and emotional outbursts, reached its highest point, a culmination, where every word had weight, every proof became a step towards mutual understanding. Finally, after many minutes of tense exchanges, when both opponents, as if realizing that true victory lies not in the destruction of the other's point of view but in the search for synthesis, took a step toward each other, a quiet, almost reverent calm filled the room. Their voices, once two independent streams, began to merge, creating a harmonious melody in which each note was an acknowledgement that the path to success lies through the unification of experience and innovation. This turning point became the starting point for a new paradigm in which traditional methods and bold experiments can coexist, complementing each other. Thus, the culmination of the standoff marked not the end of a heated debate, but the beginning of a new phase, in which each side, having realized the value of exchanging views, was ready to continue the dialogue, seek compromises and move forward together. That evening, the conference hall turned into a laboratory of ideas, where debates and discussions not only revealed contradictions, but also provided an opportunity for growth, transformation and, ultimately, the creation of a new vision for the future of the economy. And in this fiery clash of views, where each argument was honed to perfection, the audience felt that change is inevitable, and that true strength lies in the ability to listen, learn and find common ground even in the deepest disagreements. Chapter 5, Reconciling Views. As the last notes of the heated debate that had been echoing within the conference hall gradually died down, the room was enveloped in a silence filled with the realization that the clash of ideas had turned into genuine understanding. The atmosphere, which had recently been tense and polarized, had now softened, giving way to a sincere dialogue that could heal old wounds and usher in a new era of cooperation between traditional principles and bold innovative ideas. The young student, whose questions had been full of determination and academic rigor from the very beginning, realized that his desire to find the truth had found a response in the heart of the experienced businessman. His gaze, previously sparkling with audacity and self-confidence, gradually softened, giving way to a deep interest in what he had heard. He realized that even the most controversial points, seemingly insurmountable, could become a starting point for a constructive exchange of experience and knowledge. In his voice, when he spoke again, there were notes of gratitude for the frankness, for the opportunity to ask questions without being judged, and to receive an honest and thorough answer. Elon Musk, responding to yet another follow-up question, shared with surprising candor personal examples of mistakes and lessons learned over years of risky experimentation. He talked about how every decision made in the face of uncertainty was an integral part of his path to success, and how every failure was a lesson that allowed him to rise even higher. His words, delivered in a warm, almost friendly tone, reminded the audience that true strength lies not in being perfect, but in learning to benefit from every experience, no matter how painful. He emphasized that constructive criticism, even when it sounds harsh, can stimulate growth and lead to new paths of development if you embrace it as an opportunity for self-improvement. At that crucial moment, when the debate moved from polemic to genuine exchange of ideas, a sense of collective insight filled the room. Traditionalists, previously confident in the immutability of their dogmas, began to realize that innovation and experience could exist in harmonious union. The atmosphere softened, and each remark became a building block, building a new bridge between generations. Debates that had previously seemed insurmountable now dissolved in a common idea: change is possible when each side is willing to listen, learn, and accept new challenges. The student, with humility and growing respect, acknowledged that his initial questions had not been intended to humiliate but merely to express a desire to understand how to unite traditional approaches with advanced technologies in business management. His words sounded like a sincere recognition that the knowledge accumulated in academic circles can become a powerful tool if integrated with practical experience and courage in decision-making. He noted that every mistake, every failure is not a defeat, but an opportunity for growth if you perceive them as lessons that allow you to adjust your course and move on. Musk responded by saying that it is precisely these kinds of dialogues and exchanges that drive the evolution of both business and the economy as a whole. He thanked the student for his courage in critical thinking, noting that such discussions help him rethink his own management principles and find new, more effective solutions. "I see the future in you," he said with a warm smile, "because only through open dialogue can we create a system where ideas, even if they seem contradictory, find their value and come together to form a coherent whole that can lead us to prosperity." This scene became the culmination not only of the conference, but also of the entire process of finding a balance between innovation and tradition. Both sides, having presented their views with complete sincerity, were able to realize that the truth does not lie in the absolute rightness of one of them, but in the synthesis that is born from the exchange of experience. The ideas expressed during the debates acquired a new meaning, turning into a foundation for future reforms that can combine the best qualities of both sides, the precision of proven methods and the boldness of innovative approaches. The room, previously divided into two camps, now united in a single impulse of support for the idea that true development is possible only through mutual respect and a willingness to dialogue. Discussions continued after the official end of the session, when participants exchanged contacts, shared thoughts and plans for the future. Everyone understood that this moment of reconciliation of views became the starting point for a new stage not only in business development, but also in building a social consensus, where criticism serves as a driver of change, and constructive dialogue is the key to success. As the conference drew to a close, the sun was already beginning to shine on the city, symbolizing the dawn of a new day in which old prejudices give way to fresh, unifying thinking. Elon Musk and the student, exchanging final handshakes, promised to stay in touch and continue this dialogue, understanding that their meeting was not just an episode of public speaking, but an important event that could change the approach to management and the economy as a whole. Their interaction became a symbol of the fact that even the most contradictory views can find common ground if both sides are open to change and ready to learn from each other. The meeting was a powerful demonstration that the future of the economy depends on cooperation, where experience and innovation, tradition and progress come together to create new opportunities. The reconciliation of views achieved that day marked the beginning of a new era in which constructive criticism and open dialogue will move society towards stability, prosperity, and the endless search for excellence. Each participant left with the feeling that change is inevitable and success is possible if we face challenges head-on and are able to turn disagreements into the basis for joint creativity and development.